Hello, I'm Pat Vaughn from Fidelity Investments. As the world continues to evolve, it is more important than ever that institutions continue to advance to serve the needs of their students, staff, and communities. Many are pioneering the way to address the array of challenges facing higher education. That is why Fidelity Investments is proud to support the 2021 ACE Fidelity Investments Award for Institutional Transformation. The ACE Fidelity Investments Award for Institutional Transformation recognizes colleges or universities that in a period of great change in higher education have responded to challenges in innovative and creative ways that allow the institution to thrive. The award is split into two categories. Category 1 is for institutions with a student population above 12,000. Category 2 is for institutions with a student population less than 12,000. This year's award for an institution with a student population above 12,000 goes to the University of California, San Diego. On behalf of ACE and Fidelity Investments, congratulations to the University of California, San Diego. This year's award for institutions with less than 12,000 students goes to Davenport University. On behalf of ACE and Fidelity Investments, congratulations to Davenport University. A large number of high quality, deserving applications and nominations were submitted for this award. We applaud all the schools who continue to make extraordinary efforts to transform their institutions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ted Mitchell, President of the American Council on Education, better known as ACE. It's my honor to present today this year's Institutional Transformation Awards to two forward-thinking institutions and two extraordinary leaders. ACE is grateful to Fidelity Investments for supporting ACE in general, and in particular in this recognition of innovation and perseverance in the field of higher education. And as we all know, in these times more than ever, it's been important that institutions not just persevere, but continue to evolve. Many institutions are coming up with truly innovative ways to address the array of challenges facing higher education in this pandemic world, and in this world in which we need more than ever to promote diversity, equity, and inclusive student success. Nearly every college in America has had to innovate. Literally hundreds of thousands of courses switched from in-person to online in a matter of weeks. Student support services switched from drop-in to log-on. And institutions reached deep to provide students with access to technology and tools that made continued progress possible. But a special set of institutions dug even more deeply. They used the crises of today to rethink in fundamental ways the manner in which they taught, worked, and lived. We received a large number of nominations for this award, and we're humbled by the truly exceptional work of so many of our colleagues, and so many of our institutions. This was a difficult decision. We applaud all of the schools who made such great efforts to transform themselves in service to their mission. But two institutions and two leaders stood out. And it's now my great pleasure to announce the ACE Fidelity Award in Institutional Transformation to two incredible presidents. We give the award in two categories every year. First is in the category of institutions with more than 12,000 students. And today, we have the opportunity to recognize the University of California at San Diego and its chancellor, Pradeep Khosla. UC San Diego was founded as an experimental campus in 1960 by scholars who weren't afraid to push boundaries, weren't afraid to challenge expectations, and weren't afraid to redefine conventional wisdom in an effort to truly make the world a better place. Today, UC San Diego is among the top 10 public universities in the nation. Over 140,000 applications for this year's entering class. UC San Diego has made a name for itself, transforming lives, inventing and shaping new disciplines, and advancing the frontiers of knowledge and technology. UC San Diego this year was the first university to announce a commitment to incrementally repopulate its campus after taking the necessary time to develop its transformative Return to Learn plan, which was led by Chancellor Khosla and his team. Chancellor Khosla, congratulations.
Thank you.
In the category of institutions with enrollments up to 12,000 students, it's a pleasure and a privilege to recognize Davenport University. Davenport's a little older than UC San Diego, founded in fact in 1866. It's a private nonprofit university serving more than 6,200 students at campuses across Michigan and online. With tuition among the lowest of all private universities in the state, and despite, or maybe because of that low tuition, Davenport's transformational journey began nearly 10 years ago. They improved their graduation rate by 174% and retention rates by 28%. Davenport's graduate satisfaction has reached an all-time high of 95%. Last year, Davenport became the very first university in history to earn the Michigan Performance Excellence Award. Davenport's transformational journey has led to significant outcomes that have benefited its students through their sustainability and their broader commitment to their community. Davenport's journey provides a blueprint for the future of higher education, particularly for those institutions deeply rooted in their communities with a sense of mission and purpose that extends through each student into each citizen. Davenport's story is one of agility, market-based decisions, and fearless change. And that doesn't happen without fearless leadership. And so it's an honor to present this year's award in the category of smaller institutions to Davenport's president, Rick Pappas.
Thank you.
So congratulations to you both, Pradeep and Rick. Rick, would you like to share a couple of words?
I would. And first of all, thank you, Ted, and thanks to ACE and to Fidelity Investments. You know, our journey of outcomes, 174% increase in grad rate and almost 30% increase in retention over those 10 years. But this is humbling. We know we've had a transformation, but to be recognized by one of the premier associations in the country, ACE, and with Fidelity Investments, is humbling to our talented faculty and staff, and also to our board of trustees. So we thank you, ACE and Fidelity.
Congratulations, Rick. Pradeep?
Thank you. Rick, let me just echo what you just said. So first of all, Ted, thank you very much to ACE and to Fidelity Investments for recognizing us. You know, being the chancellor, I always think that we always deserve recognition. But in this case, I have to tell you, this is really appropriate, because being a 60-year-old campus that was founded as an experimental campus, we have been on a journey of transformation. And over the last eight years, our goal has been to be a student-centered, research-focused, service-oriented public university that is a destination for all, for art, entertainment, and culture, in addition to education and healthcare. So it's a very comprehensive vision that we have. And to accomplish this, we have been transforming ourselves, as I say often, intellectually, physically, and culturally. So thank you very much to the jury, to the committee that recognized us. And thank you, Ted, for your leadership of ACE.
Thanks, Chancellor Khosla. While I have you, I recall a meeting early in the pandemic when you addressed the ACE board, and you described to them how it was UC San Diego was going to be able to bring students back to campus. And I remember how impressed and in awe we all were of the plan that you had in place. Can you tell us a little bit about how the Return to Learn plan came into being, and roughly in broad strokes how it proceeded?
So what actually happened was one of my associate vice chancellors, Dr. Chip Schooley, and doctor in this case is an MD, who's an infectious disease expert, and he's part of the administration. He comes to me and says, Pradeep, this thing that's happening right now in Wuhan is not gonna bode well for the world. It's just a matter of time, because he understands little about viruses and pandemics. And he says, if you had to close down the campus, how would you think about like keeping the campus running while sending everybody home? So that's when I realized that this was going to be a very serious effort. And instead of me deciding that I was the decision maker out here, I did two things. I brought my cabinet into confidence, but more significantly, I put together a team of doctors, engineers, social scientists, public health experts, and we would brainstorm literally 3 times a week on understanding how we're going to deal with this pandemic. And that's how we got going. And our strategy kept on refining and changing every week. And the implementation was so swift that we would change the strategy this morning, and by this evening, the implementation had changed. And we would keep on this very fast loop of analyze, observe, change, right? Typical engineering redesign strategies, but it worked in this case for organizational redesign, and it worked like a charm. So I'm so proud of my colleagues.
Well, it was a remarkable achievement, not only to have that idea, but to have that engine of innovation churning all the way through, so that you were evaluating the impact in real time. As you described it earlier when we were talking, you identified 3 pillars: viral detection, intervention, and risk mitigation. Were those sort of the North Stars as you went through the process?
Completely. They were the North Stars. And this was where we had multiple strategies, for example, for viral detection. So one strategy was to test every student on a weekly and 2-weekly basis. And we were the first campus to talk about asymptomatic testing. Everybody thought symptomatic testing was the way to go. But in listening to Dr. Schooley, I realized that by the time you have symptoms, you are already infected and you've been transmitting. You know, just like in a cold or a flu season, you become infectious long before you become symptomatic. Same strategy here. So we said, we're going to go with asymptomatic testing. And the second observation was, and I didn't realize the country had been working on this, in wastewater sampling, this virus shows up in your fecal matter like 3 to 5 days before it shows up symptomatically and before you become infectious for other people. So we started building wastewater samplers, modifying commercial samplers and installing it to do wastewater sampling. And that actually was a big deal for us to prevent outbreaks on our campus. During literally the whole year now, Ted, 0 outbreaks on this campus.
Incredible.
As soon as we find a wastewater sampler that goes positive, we take the whole building and we test them right away within 24 hours.
It's a remarkable success story, and like so much else in this innovation award process, it's not just a fact in and of itself, and UC San Diego has prospered as a result, but you have been really quite wonderful in sharing the discoveries that you've made and the processes that you've created across the land. Rick, let's turn to you for a second. It's sort of unusual for an independent institution to grab onto something like the Baldrige criteria to sort of set its metrics for success. How'd you convince people to do that?
You know, when the board really was the starting pace, they wanted to increase those measures you talked about 10 years ago. And I've been a Malcolm Baldrige person for a long time, in the sense, because what it allows us to do is understand the institution really well. And so it actually starts with a balanced scorecard. What is it that you think is important to measure? You know, so we did the typical things with retention and grad rate and student satisfaction, employee satisfaction, but we also did employer perception of our graduates. And we measure how are they ready to work? Not just are they still there, but are they ready with skills? And so as we went through that, we start with a 5-year vision. And we don't think we can actually project more than 5 years. And as we've done that, we set targets and goals, but we understand the data analytics so much better. And there's leading indicators and there's lagging indicators. And it allowed us to do a lot of innovation. Early on, they said, well, we're too slow on degree formation. We now can approve a degree in 60 days and get it to market thereafter, yet with good oversight. And so This increase in grad rate, which is a lagging indicator of 174%, is fantastic, but it's really the indicators like retention, which is a leading indicator for this. And what's so cool about it is that for every vision we've had now, 3, the faculty and staff, 95% have supported the vision, have been part of the vision, created the vision. And it's not a paragraph, it's a 3-page document. And it's something that really has done well by us. Our faculty and staff are really talented. And we even started green belts in process improvement. So we understand we've been able to cut time and give them more power to make decisions. And it's really, and we have multiple campuses, and we can see exactly where we're not doing well, and then use innovation to say, well, how would we improve that now that we know? Often people don't know that this is the leading indicator that's not doing well. So as you said, we're the only university ever to win the ball. It's not about winning, it's about the analysis that comes back to us. And we've learned so much. So I'm very appreciative of our faculty and staff and our team, and they're the ones deserving of this award. I was a figurehead, they did the work. And so it's been exciting for us to be part of that. And we measure everything, Ted. We measure everything. Everything is measurable, and so we can understand better how to do better.
Great. We all know that great teams thrive when they have great leaders, and that's true of both of you. Rick, you talked about measuring, talked about identifying problems. One of the areas where I know you pulled the team together was around developing innovative approaches to student services and student success programs. A couple of those come to mind as real highlights of real vectors of change.
Yeah, it was really interesting as we examined retention. So we, like I said, we moved up 28%. So the way that we did that is by listening. And so beyond like student satisfaction surveys, which we did, we created something called Meet the President. A funny one time they thought they were meeting the President of the United States, so I had to say, meet the university president. So it was disappointing to them that particular day. But I bring the deans and the provost and our whole team, and we were able to solve problems right at that moment. And we listened to the frustration of, it could be library hours, it could be more tutoring, or it could be something more substantial, but it allowed us to hear. And so we were able to actually make change. We actually, my first year, we brought $1 million of advisors and financial aid counselors in because we weren't up to the standard of how many students that someone can advise, because we want them to have the same advisor all the way through. And one sample of innovation was that our developmental numbers, people who came in who needed a little help from math, was really poor. We only were successful 50% of the time. And it was actually at an ACE meeting that I heard the Khan Academy. And we implemented the Khan Academy alongside of other like bridges and so forth. And we're up to 85% success. We actually were able to get rid of some of our developmental courses because people were getting so more prepared. And this innovation came not because, it was because we knew there was an issue. And so many of the type of programs we had, we eliminated programs that weren't really meritorious anymore. They were at one time, but added programs like data analytics and informatics and things that were so much in demand that people were hired right away, even before they finished their degree sometimes. So you have to know what is the leading indicator and what's the lagging indicator, but you can make substantive change if you understand, and your faculty and staff are really creative and willing to help you solve those problems.
Sounds like in both cases, getting good information in a timely way, acting in a careful but clear, with a clear sense of speed and need of urgency, really put you both along a path to keeping what was so special about your two institutions during this time of crisis, and building for the future, which leads me really to my last question. And I apologize, but I think we're almost out of time. We went through a lot of change over the last year. What are the kinds of changes that you think will stick? how will this fall coming up, which hopefully everyone will be vaccinated, will be back in person, fewer restrictions. What will we take as a sort of a good artifact from our COVID experience? Rick, why don't you start, and Pradeep, you can bring us home.
Well, it's pretty clear that one of the great advantages, we had online education since the 90s, but we took 2 days to actually go fully online when the crisis hit. But one of the things we've learned is that we can operate from different locations, and that at home, people have been so effective that we're rethinking our whole process of how we do our meetings. We are opening fully in fall, and we've had a very low infection rate, 0.2% to 0.5%, and we had strict protocols, and we have NCAA Division II athletics, and that went very well as well. So I would tell you that I think the flexibility of how we work has been improved, and the employee satisfaction actually has gone up 4 years in a row. And during a pandemic, which was surprising, we engaged people a lot more, and I could see if anybody was sleeping by looking at my screen. So it was really helpful to me. But in all honesty, that some of that will continue, and also making sure that safety is our #1 priority.
Great, thanks, Rick. Chancellor Khosla, what's going to be? What are we going to take from this?
So let's see. From a UC San Diego perspective, Ted, before the pandemic, we had for undergrad housing singles, doubles, and triples. Come the pandemic, we get rid of everything and we are down to singles. Post-pandemic, coming this fall, we are going to be 100% populated. Again, the campus is going to be fully populated in person. There will be singles, there will be doubles, and there will be no triples. And this is a blessing in disguise because the students never liked the triples. We had doubles converted to triples. So that's one good thing that's going to come out of it. The second good thing that's going to come out of it is during the pandemic, we realized that we could actually use telemedicine and teleconferencing to really offer mental health counseling. Given the significant increase in need, the 10 campuses now we leverage each other. So instead of each one of us hiring all the different types of counselors, we use telemedicine to literally leverage each other and offer services to each other's students. So that's going to stay. Thirdly, I was in the middle of a large construction plan. Part of it, one of the buildings was a staff building for administration, and I cut the size in half because going forward, much of this administration is not going to be coming to work full time. They'll be working full time. Don't get me wrong; they would not be coming to campus full time every day, so they don't need the offices of their own, private offices. So we cut down. We're going to save on real estate prices. I think we're going to make happier staff because they don't have to travel in San Diego's traffic, which of course is better than LA and San Francisco, but nonetheless bad enough. And I think remote education is here to stay, even though our faculty would have difficulty talking about 100% remote online degrees. I can see our online education becomes a complement to our in-person education, amplifying and enhancing the student experience. And I can go down the list more, but these are the big issues, the big things that I see happening.
Wonderful, perfect. A great way to conclude. And I'll just add that in addition to those specific lessons learned, one of the other great lessons that we'll take from the pandemic is the lesson of leadership, and the lesson that you two exemplify, that great leaders with great teams responding to real information and real data, encouraging people to move out of their comfort zone, to build new systems that really do work, can help propel all of American higher education to serve the needs of our students, our communities, and the nation as a whole. For giving us that example, I want to once again congratulate both of you on this award, and to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the work that you've done and continue to do. It's an honor to be with you today. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ted.
Congratulations, Rick.
Congratulations to you, Pradeep, too.